All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. And make sure you check out Pig in a Pickle. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, let's talk a little bit about competition because the competition begins this week. The 49ers OTAs start in Santa Clara. We will be down there watching practice. And I'm going to give you the five guys, the five 49ers starters that I think could potentially be challenged this summer for their jobs. Now, the 49ers have a very good roster, a deep roster, a talented roster. And they're one of the most set teams in all of pro football. There's not a lot of competitive situations in their camp for starting jobs. There's a number of backups that will compete for roster spots, but as far as starting jobs, it's pretty rare that the 49ers would have people competing for jobs for starting positions on this team. That's how good they are. That's how deep they are. But I see these five positions as being, if any five guys could potentially have a threat at their position to start, it's these five guys. All right, let's start on the defensive side. In the secondary, the 49ers have at left corner Diamador Lenore. And Lenore really came of age last year. Heck, you can make an argument Lenore was better than Mooney Ward at the end of the year. He was really, really good. But the 49ers have a new secondary coach in Steve Wilkes. He's the new defensive coordinator. And he brought in his own guys. And he brought in Darrell Luter Jr. from South Alabama in the 5th round. And Luter is an experienced corner with maturity and size and man-to-man coverage ability. And Luter's interesting. He's this guy's a man. This guy's not one of these kids that needs to grow up. He's married. He has a kid. He's motivated. He's athletic. He's got really long arms, and he can play press man coverage on the outside. And we don't know what Lenore is going to be. Lenore has been up and down throughout his career. He started really well with the Niners. He got burned once, then he got sat the bench. Then last year he kind of came of age, and he got better and better and better as the year has gone on. But he's not Mooney Ward, and I don't know that his hold on the left cornerback job is really ironclad at this point. I think it's a competitive situation, and I would not be surprised if Darrell Luter Jr. really challenges Lenore for that starting spot. Luter's long, he's strong, he's got a lot of experience, he can play man to man. He's very, very calm, he's very motivated, but he's very confident. So I think that's, Lenore's a good corner, but I think Luter maybe has potential to be a very good corner. And so I think even though on paper that's Lenore's job to lose, I would not be shocked if Darrell Luter plays tremendous football this summer and winds up being the starter at some point opposite Mooney Ward. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So there's job number one. Diamador Lenore going up against Darrell Luter Jr. Watch out for Luter. All right, let's stay in the secondary for the second one, and that's free safety with Tayshaun Gibson. Gibson is a terrific defensive center fielder. He's a good deep middle ball hawk, especially in the cover three. If you're going to play a lot of zone, you want a guy in center field who can cover a lot of grass and also be a productive interceptor and come away with the ball. And that really is Tayshaun Gibson. But man, when you look at Jair Brown and the player that he became at Penn State, MVP of the Rose Bowl, really good against the run, good against the pass. He can play up on the line of scrimmage in the box and hit. He can play deep down the field and cover. He can play man. He can play zone. There's a lot to like there. And Jair Brown's an alpha. He's a leader. He's a tough guy. He's a tone setter. And he is going to give Gibson all the competition he wants and then some for that free safety spot. Now, George Odom's also there, but he's more of a special teamer. You'll have young guys like Taylor Hawkins and Avery Young will be in this camp at safety as well, and that's quality depth for sure. But Jair Brown was drafted to be a starter, and Jair Brown physically is a better player than Tayshaun Gibson. Gibson's the veteran. Gibson's mentally probably on a different level just because he's got so much experience and he's played that deep middle. And this isn't his first rodeo, and he's seen it all and been there and done it. But Jair Brown's athleticism and leadership and production on the football are outrageous. And I think there's a very good chance that Jair Brown steps onto the field and people are like, wow, that guy's as good a defensive back as they have. And so would not surprise me if Jair Brown winds up taking Tayshaun Gibson's spot with Afonga in the box and Brown playing the deep middle in the cover three. And maybe the Niners mixing in some more split safeties and some more man looks as well. So job number 2, can Tayshaun Gibson hold off Jair Brown? He probably can, but probably not for the whole year. So those two young DBs, Darrell Luter Jr. and Jair Brown, I think are going to show up with the intention that they're starters. And I think they're going to give it a hell of a run. So those two jobs, I think, are up for grabs. All right, let's jump to the offensive side of the ball. And let's go to Juwan Jennings. Jennings, I think, has one more year in his deal. Runs in the 4.7s, but man, he is dependable. He is just like one of the most dependable 49ers there is. You're looking for a huge play and a huge moment. You can depend on Juwan Jennings. But man, there's also a cap, and he is the third receiver, and you still have Danny Gray and Ray McLeod as vertical threats, and you may want to keep them both. And then you've got a couple of really nice, young, and cheap possession receivers. And one's Tay Martin, second-year player out of Oak State. The other's Ronnie Bell, the rookie out of Michigan. And Ronnie Bell's ball skills in the rookie minicamp were off the charts. This guy made 2 or 3 amazing catches. If he continues to haul in the ball that way, maybe they'll choose Ronnie Bell over Juwan Jennings. I'm sure Bell would be cheaper. So there's that factor. And then Tay Martin. Tay Martin's got a huge catch radius, and he's a bigger bodied guy, kind of like Juwan. Tay Martin has got great ball skills and can pluck the ball with his hands and hold on in a crowd. And he got a little stronger in the upper body in the offseason. I mean, the last time I saw this guy in college, he was lighting up Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl for like 9 catches, 3 touchdowns, and 100+ yards. So to me, Tay Martin and Ronnie Bell, they're definitely going to be cheaper on the cap than Juwan Jennings. If a team came looking for Jennings and Bell and Martin had big camps, I wouldn't be shocked if the 49ers pulled the trigger on a trade, sending Juwan elsewhere and giving his role to Ronnie Bell or Tay Martin, or maybe even the veteran Willie Snead, or maybe even a guy like Isaiah Winstead, who sure looked good in the videos, and then he caught 88 balls this year for East Carolina. So those 3 guys, as far as possession receivers, Ronnie Bell, Willie Snead, Isaiah Winstead, or I should say those 4, and Tay Martin, Isaiah Winstead, Willie Snead, Ronnie Bell. I think those guys are all interesting receivers. Winstead had great college production. So did Tay Martin. Willie Snead is a veteran, been through everything at this point. Ronnie Bell came off of a 2021 season where he tore the ACL. He came back in 2022 with a vengeance, and then he made amazing catches in the rookie minicamp. So Juwan Jennings, if you show up out of shape, if you show up less than 100%, if for whatever reason you have any kind of regression, don't be surprised if Ronnie Bell, Tay Martin, Willie Snead, or Isaiah Winstead take that job. And Bell, after the rookie minicamp, maybe the leader in the clubhouse for it. So that's job open, potentially number 3. Now, I expect the Niners to stay with Juwan Jennings, but there's some good possession receivers in Niner camp that will, be cheaper alternatives to Juwan. All right, let's go on the offensive line to Colton McKivitz. McKivitz is going to step in at right tackle for Mike McGlinchey, and the Niners love McKivitz. They gave him the gold helmet designation in the draft coming out of West Virginia, but they also have Nick Zakelj, who's 6'6", 320. They also have Jalen Moore, and those 2 guys are intriguing, and they have a lot of talent. Jalen Moore's got a lot of talent. Nick Zakelj's got a lot of talent. All these guys, Jalen Moore was a 5th-round pick. Nick Zakelj was a 6th-round pick. Colton McKivitz was a 5th-round pick in 2020. On paper, they love McKivitz. And McKivitz is just, there is no moment that's too big for him. And he's just a very calm, consistent offensive tackle who's really solid as a pass protector. So he's probably going to retain his job. But if McKivitz just looks okay, look for Nick Sakel, 6'6", 320, tough as heck, long arms. He could be in the mix there. Jalen Moore, he very much could be in the mix there. Manning played left tackle, his whole career. He's not a left tackle, but maybe he's a right tackle. So those three guys, to me, I mean, John Feliciano and Jason Poe inside, but you've got some options at tackle, and it's not just the guys I've named. It's Colton McKivitz, it's Jalen Moore, it's Nick Sakel, it's Matt Pryor, it's Joey Fisher, it's Manning, it's Alfredo Gutierrez. I mean, there's a number of guys. I think McKivitz keeps the job because I think they really love McKivitz. But if he's hurt or if there's any disappointment, any regression at all, McKivitz's job could go to somebody else. And then the one that I really don't expect to lose his job, but it's definitely worth mentioning, is Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk has been a Pro Bowl fullback for the Niners. But most years the Niners come to camp and they don't have a single guy on the roster who in any way would threaten Juszczyk for his job. Well, this year that's not quite the case. You've got Jack Coletto, the undrafted free agent rookie out of Oregon State, who's very much a fullback. And then you have Braden Willis, the tight end from Oklahoma, who also has experience playing fullback. And some people see him as a fullback. Some people see him as an H-back. Some people see him as a tight end. But both those guys are good prospects. And I'm not saying that they're going to take Juszczyk's job this year, but I would not be surprised if the 49ers decide they like Coletto or they like Braden Willis, if they put these guys on the practice squad and next year at this time, they're taking Kyle Juszczyk's job. So those are the five guys that I could even potentially see losing their job. I guess the only other one that might come up would be Isaiah Oliver, who's the starter at nickel, who could lose his job to a Samuel Womack or a Miles Hartsfield. But I would say if there's 5 49ers that potentially could lose their starting job, it would be Demo Lenore, Tayshaun Gibson, Juwan Jennings, Colton McKivitz, and Kyle Juszczyk. And in each case, there's a young, talented, cheaper alternative sitting right there on the roster. All right, hope you enjoyed the 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.